So this is February 10th, 2021. And we are almost to a year of pandemic. I don't think I had heard of COVID-19 on February 10th, 2020. I know I had heard about it by March 1st because I had a conversation at a meeting. It's amazing, but we're coming up on the anniversary.
I know, it's going on forever.
Remember the first time you heard of it? You remember the first time you heard about COVID-19?
Yeah, it was late 2019 when I first heard about it.
You heard about it in late 2019. I guess I'd heard about something, some pneumonia that was hitting China. But I had no idea that it would have anything to do with us. So when I first became aware that it was affecting people in the United States, I think was very, very early March. And still at that point, it was just, a few people who'd gone to China or who had been on cruise ships. There were some terrible stories of cruise ships where half the cruise ship people
Those were
died.
scary. Yeah.
And then they weren't allowed to load. Oh, it was just terrible.
I had it on March 8th, and I was one of the first people in Arkansas. They didn't even have a documented case at that point because they couldn't document it because they didn't have the test. They were saying, "Oh, anybody that wants a test can get a test," but I could not get a test I tried throwing a fit and everything else, and there was no way to get a test unless you were, at that point, you had to be admitted to the hospital and on your deathbed before you could get a test.
Did you just say that on March 8th you had COVID-19?
I did. I was one of the first people in Arkansas to have it.
And were they able to trace how you got it at that point?
Well, I know how I got it, but nobody ever tried to trace it.
Yes, this whole issue of testing was a very big issue. I mean, that's why I believe my mother died because of it, because she went into the hospital on March 14th. This is in Cleveland, for a different kind of infection. And then she was released March about the 22nd, I think, to a rehab facility. And then a couple days later, which is basically a nursing home. And a couple days later, she got a really bad fever. And so they were afraid that she had COVID. So they did give her a test, but they moved her to a separate wing where there were other people awaiting tests that they thought might have it. It took 8 days before they got the results back. And so part of the problem was not just whether there were tests, but whether there was processing of tests, and they needed the technology to do that. And she tested negative. So they sent her back to the regular place. Well, she'd been in a place with 5 or 6 people that turned out to be testing positive, one of whom died while she was there. And it was the same nurses coming in and out. So she contracted COVID while she was there, waiting for test results. So 2 weeks later, she tested positive for COVID. I mean, anyway, this whole situation, don't get me started. All right.
I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah, me too. So I wanted to start by, you should have received a post in some listserv about our department scholarships. I just want to bring this up to everybody's attention. The scholarship deadline is March 1st. And which is coming up. And I encourage you all to apply for their scholarships. And I'm going to put a link to this on our course website. So just wanted to make sure you are aware of that. So here's where we are on the course schedule. So we're talking about genre of the rhetorical situation. You should have submitted or be about to submit your blog on the that's applying the ideas of kairos and genre to the opinion piece. We're going to talk more about that today in class. So if you still weren't sure what to do, hopefully by the end of class you will be. And then tomorrow I will be opening this quiz on the first 2 chapters, which will be available through through Sunday. And it's an open book test, and it's just a way to try to get you to remember what we've been talking about and sort of consolidate your knowledge. Then next week we will start chapter 3, and there are totally new ideas we're going to start thinking about the logic and reasoning in your piece. So, any questions just about the schedule?
I've got one about the quiz. Did I understand you correctly to say that it's not a timed exam?
Right. It's
okay, cool.
It'll be, you can't go back after you've submitted, but once you open it up, you can stay in it for as long as you want. And it's open book. It's think of it as a take-home exam. So, other questions about where we are? Okie doke. So, this whole unit has been about the rhetorical situation. So I'm going to, hopefully we're going to try to make sure we understand what the rhetorical situation is. And you'll also be able to understand what I would like you to have done or be doing in this blog. So here's this chapter, or this drawing. Need to do it that way. here's this rhetorical situation diagram from the textbook. And there is a lot implied by occasion. So the occasion is the time, the particular situation, whatever sort of triggers the communication. And there is a lot implied by the text. So the text can be oral, written, different kinds of genres, can also be different kinds of media. And I've been finding that the word delivery helps for me when I'm talking to you about how you want to deliver your evolving piece of rhetoric. Because how do you want to deliver? Do you want to deliver it orally? Do you want to deliver it in print? Do you want to deliver it online? Do you want to deliver it in a publication? All of those kinds of things have to do with delivery, which was one of the elements of the, one of the canons of the rhetorical situation. And we sometimes think about the old traditional canons as, which includes delivery, as maybe only applying to speech. But the more I think about it, the more I realize that delivery is a perfect term for all the different ways that we can deliver a rhetorical thing. This is a list of terms at the end of the textbook. And actually, you know, if you're good at drawing diagrams, you might want to figure out how you add all these things into that previous diagram. So somehow, if you could figure out how to add purpose, context, forum, genre, kairos into that diagram, that might be helpful. Maybe I'll work on that. But as you think about any piece of rhetoric, whether you're producing it or whether you're consuming it, I guess, all these things are into play. There's a purpose, there's an occasion, and exigence. Exigence is kind of an unfamiliar term, but I think it kind of describes purpose, exigent, the triggering thing, the whole situation that somehow inspires it. So these are some of the elements. And it strikes me that one of the themes of this class is that there is always a rhetorical situation, that you can never be arhetorical. And we heard about that, or I think I read it, of a passage that I read in an early class about the white pages and the yellow pages of the telephone book, that you might think that the white pages of a telephone book, the old part of the telephone book that had to do with just a list of all the residents of a location, that was arhetorical, that they weren't trying to do anything with this piece of communication, but there were elements within it that made, that had, you know, it had a purpose, and there are things within it that try to achieve that purpose. So its purpose was to inform people of people's telephone numbers, and they used the alphabet and an organized scheme to make it easy for people to locate the people they're looking for. And they used an exact same pattern so that, you know, it wouldn't be a big mess and chaos in your head, and it would be as easy as possible to find it. it is kind of frustrating now that that white pages no longer exists. And it is partly because people don't have landlines anymore. And now there is no easy way to find somebody's telephone number and address. And partly that's a change of time. I mean, partly I think maybe we're more concerned about privacy now. So we don't want to make it as easy to find, you know, where somebody lives. And then part of it's change of technology. There are no landlines, and well, there are fewer and fewer landlines. There are more cell phones. Well, you know, it's more difficult to come up with a list of cell phone numbers. And again, there's a privacy question, I think, that has developed. And so what happens is when you go online and you try to find people's phone number and address, is you get into these commercial things, and then you end up having to pay money to find it out. So it's a totally different time and place, the white pages that I grew up with and the white pages that no longer really exist anymore. So a basic point that we're trying to get across in this class is that nothing is ever arhetorical. Now, maybe you were thinking, well, you know, she told me to write this first blog, just write out an opinion. And maybe you're thinking, well, that wasn't really a rhetorical situation. I just wrote. But I think maybe it was a rhetorical situation. What was the rhetorical situation of that original blog post? This is a question. This is not a rhetorical question. What does that mean when I say, when you talk about a rhetorical question?
You respond to it?
No, if you say this is just a rhetorical question, it's a weird use of the term rhetorical, because a rhetorical question is one that is not intended to be answered. You're just doing it as a part of your rhetoric, as a way of, I don't know, just moving forward the argument, probably. And so in a way, it's part of your rhetoric of display, but not the rhetoric of communication between people. It's interesting. Anyway, it is not a rhetorical question. What was the rhetorical situation of your original blog? How did you conceive the rhetorical situation?
I guess just expressing an opinion, and that was the message, but like there wasn't really like anything on the rhetorical triangle applied yet.
Well, there was an author, right?
Yeah.
Who did you envision was the audience?
Dr. Madsen.
Dr. Madsen, yeah. I mean, you guys are experts at this rhetorical situation. A teacher says, do this, write something, and you do it. So what's your purpose when you were writing that? You can be honest.
I guess to get to the grade.
To get a grade, yeah. I mean, most of the time in school, your purpose is, when you're writing, your purpose is to show that you are great, or, you know, that you deserve a high grade. It is also maybe to comply with somebody's request. You know, people follow instructions. And did any of you think about what would be appropriate topics and maybe reject inappropriate topics?
Well, when you said we were going to have to go back and use it over and over again, I thought, do I want to do something that's going to be emotionally draining the whole time? Or do I want to do something fun that I care about? Or I don't know. I guess I was thinking of myself as the audience also, since I'm the one composing.
Yeah, so, I mean, when, there are situations where supposedly you write for yourself, but even writing for yourself, that's an audience, right? I mean, does anybody write journals or diaries or personal writing?
Yes.
Very inconsistently.
Yeah, I feel guilty about that all the time too. So what's the purpose of those kinds of things?
When I write something like that, it's more really for me. It's so that I can sort of solidify my ideas and understand, have a more complete thought process about something.
Mm-hmm. I mean, writing is really kind of an amazing thing because it enables you to think and to, I mean, it takes place in time, so it allows you to look back on what you're thinking, and then you have it there in front of you so you can keep connecting. So, I don't think they really understand completely what goes on in the mind when you're writing, but it's clearly something that allows you to do things that may be helpful for you. And so I don't know if any of you are thinking about going into teaching English, but there's a very important concept in education called writing as a mode of learning. And I mean, one of the reasons why we as teachers ask students to write papers all the time, one is to demonstrate, prove that you know something. But the more strong reason, I think, is that we believe it's a way of learning. It's a way of trying to think about things and, put order on your thoughts, which you can do about your personal experiences, but also about some, academic content. So the point is that when you wrote the original blog, it had a rhetorical context, and I am doing something sort of artificial for this assignment. So several people have been kind of not sure exactly what I was asking for. And I don't blame you, that's fine, because I am kind of turning the situation around from what normal things are. But I'm trying to, I want us just to, spend some time thinking about each of the concepts as we go through them and what that would mean for you as a writer as you produce something. So that's this weird assignment. And of course, so what I'm asking you to do basically is to revise that original piece for a different rhetorical situation. So the original rhetorical situation was kind of amorphous, but it was sort of for yourself, but sort of mainly for the teacher, and just kind of sort of amorphous purpose, but just sort of to get an idea out there. But you were thinking about audience as you did it, in selecting what you should and shouldn't talk about. It may have, like Micah's thought was that she had to pick something that she would be willing to work with. You may have thought about something that you thought, it's just too political to put into having the class, or that's something that I'm embarrassed about and I don't really want to talk about. So even this kind of a rhetorical apparently a rhetorical situation had a rhetorical situation. So I thought we'd look at some examples of rhetoric for different rhetorical situations. And so it's coming on Valentine's Day. Cards, greeting cards, are a great thing to look at for thinking about genre, purpose, and audience. Maybe you don't, I'm not doing, going to a store and looking through the greeting cards this year, because that's too much high touch. You know, you have to look at every single one and touch them all. And I don't want to touch things in the store anymore at the moment. But so this magazine, Town and Country, I don't know if they do it in print or it's only online anymore. They are actually having showing the best Valentine's cards this year. And I thought it was kind of interesting. So you could see as we look at each of these cards how the audience is slightly shifted. So this one is a sophisticated take. So what audience would you give this card to? Can you guys see the love card?
Oh, I see that it actually says love now. I just thought it was some design.
So what would be let's say you're, thumbing through the Valentine's cards at Walgreens, what would be the appropriate audience for this?
Someone that most likely older couples.
Older? Yeah, so you feel like it's got kind of a kind of formality, and it's not real edgy or anything.
Yeah,
Sappy.
some people that are like around my age also kind of likes these things, like if they have an older soul as well.
Yeah, okay. Somebody loves you.
Okay, that's cute.
So if I were to give this to my husband, he would think this is stupid. He is not into that. So, on the other hand, I also would not give this to my husband because he is not into the real lovey-dovey romantic kind of stuff. So as this writer, as they say here, keep it clean and classic with this grown-up Valentine's Day card. So this is sort of your all-purpose Valentine's Day card. What are some of the features of this all-purpose Valentine's Day card? The genre of the all-purpose Valentine's Day card.
Well, it just says Happy Valentine's Day. Like there's no, it's just kind of like your basic kind of, roses, Happy Valentine's Day, red and pink.
Yeah, roses totally connected to Valentine's Day, right? Flowers in general, but something about roses is that it's the flower of love. Pink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pink is okay. What is it? Roses symbolizes love and passion and like fiery and feistiness and whatnot, and then pink is that sweet and kind and triggers happiness. That's why you see like some ice cream or cupcake places on Valentine's Day with like the color pink everywhere, because it triggers something in your brain to make you happy and brings happiness in mind. So I guess with seeing a pink and red covered rose card, you'll be like, oh my god, this is so cute. this makes me happy. And also, if it just blatantly says happy Valentine's,
Yeah, you know
more
what's funny?
straightforward
If you
to me.
say the word pink, you kind of have to smile.
I can't do it.
So here's one where you can personalize it, and you put a scratch off sticker. This is a common kind of theme where I wonder why this says 2013. Is this from 2013? You know, an allusion to a very well-known song about love. So would you send this Valentine's Day card to your grandmother?
No, probably not.
Right. So I mean, it's
unless I want to make it really awkward and weird, then yes.
Unless you have a different kind of relationship than the standard one between grandchild and grandmother, you probably would not be sending this. I suspect this is more likely sent to a man.
Yeah, it's whatever your desired partner is.
Yeah. Well, okay, so here's one they say is sophisticated. Does anybody know the allusion to this in this? There's a kid's book about this, although I think maybe it's a common saying. So all of these have been, you know, these are pretty generic, you know, love, pink. So this one doesn't have pink in the card, but you got pink envelope. Certain things like bumblebees. Whoops. Okay, so this is I think it's a fairly common type of Valentine card, except for thank you for everything you've done for me. That just seems really weird to me. But
really
besides
weird.
that, what are the elements that make this a Valentine's Day card? What that mark it as in the genre?
Roses, hearts.
A rose, heart.
Red.
Box of chocolates.
Box of chocolates. So this is a kind of generic, and I mean, there are romantic ones, there are silly ones, and then there are cynical ones. This is an example of the silly one, but semi-serious. So I just was Googling. I'm surprised. I didn't realize you could buy Valentine's Day cards on Amazon. I mean, you can get everything on Amazon. It's amazing. So it was interesting to me that Amazon defined this as for him, for your husband. Why, separate from the, well, I guess Valentine's Day probably really, the cards really emphasize the traditional gender relationships. Although I know every big company now is having, has a line designed for LGBTQ plus relationships as well. But what are they doing to make it, they claim it's, so apparently you can get the same saying, but in different pictures. I'm not really sure why this picture seems appropriate for men, for boyfriends, whereas, because I mean, it doesn't seem like it's gender marked at all. I thought that was kind of interesting. This version does seem a little more gender marked. I mean, we don't have anything pink. And they have more card. So what I put as the, in the, on the slide was the genre as it shifts tone. So what's the tone here?
A little sarcastic, kind of funny.
Sarcastic, funny. There's, there's a whole lot of those. What's the purpose of sending something like that?
There's some people that don't enjoy Valentine's Day or that don't really like Valentine's Day, but would still just like to have something received from the significant other or loved one. So this would kind of be perfect. Like, there's no one else I'd rather spend this commercial greeting card holiday with you. Like, it's funny. It gets a small laugh out of you, and also it's just like, this holiday is kind of dumb. This observance day is dumb, but I still love it.
But at the same time, you are in fact recognizing your relationship.
Exactly.
Remember the word presuppositions back on the diagram of the rhetorical situation? So you send this to your mom, unless she's really into this kind of thing, she is unlikely to appreciate it. This is more likely to be sent to somebody at your peer level and who you share certain presuppositions with. So I wrote on there that the genre can shift kairos. Perfect example. And we've seen, I mean, it's amazing how, well, because everybody can print these things so quickly, and so much of this stuff is available now online, it's possible to revise for the specific quarantine. And this is obviously a kairos, a revision for kairos. Hopefully 2 years from now, this will be a antique and will not fit into the time in which we are communicating. Comments just about these things in general. Everybody seeing how the cards shift, tone, purpose, format, although they all keep that same genre of the greeting card. And it's interesting, I think, how there's this modification to the online greeting card, which I didn't link to. These were all to pictures of actual paper greeting cards. And they can take the existing genre and do a little bit more with it. You know, they can make it a video. They can do cutesy changes and stuff. And, you know, out in social media, I'm sure there are Valentine's posts where they take that traditional genre of the greeting card Valentine's Day gift and modify it for the new rhetorical situation. Let's get a little bit more serious. So because of the pandemic, there's so much material out on, there's a lot more material out online. Now, already before the pandemic, you know, there was this movement towards open source textbooks and people creating material out on the internet that you can use for learning objects. And I think this is from the state of Texas. They're actually providing lessons for classes for their high school students, I think. But this is a good example too. So this is a little lesson about how purpose changes writing. And so they're envisioning a situation in which somebody has to go to a high school, talk to high school age students about bullying. But then the little exercise here is to show us how purpose shifts the way you create the message. So here are 4 different, I think this is probably a quiz, but I'm not going to do it. But these are 4 different titles. And across the top here are 4 different purposes: take action, create awareness, present facts, give a presentation. So what do you think is the purpose of, you may sometimes feel like it's fun to shove someone or call that person names, but you need to be a big enough person to find some other way to have fun. Which of the 4 purposes is that more likely to be?
Take action, maybe?
Maybe, because it specifically seems to suggest do something. What does it feel like to have someone push you around or say mean things to you?
That gets me pretty annoyed and resentful.
So maybe create awareness. Statistics show that people all around us are getting bullied and the bullies are getting away with it. A more informative present facts, probably.
Yeah.
And bullying has become a problem for our community and we need ideas to address it. A more of a larger presentation that's just kind of a more formal kind of thing. So you can tell the tone in each one of these. Here are sort of beginnings and to the different audiences. Hey, put down your phone and let's talk. Come hear about bullying. Which of the audience? Student council,
Student
parents, or
council.
administration. Well, it's students, because it's obviously not parent. I mean, you wouldn't say hey to parents or to administration. So it's going to be to the students. Your children have more than their share of pain and suffering.
That's to parents.
To parents. And students have to feel safe in a school if they're going to learn. To the administration. So a lot of times when you are writing to a particular audience with a particular purpose in a particular situation, it's so obvious to you, you don't even think explicitly about adapting it to your audience and purpose and situation. But often it becomes very complex, and it's important to, really get a sense of the style and voice and how you approach different audiences. And then they have a variety of different things in here. We're not going to go over it all, but thinking about purpose and audience and looking at these different things. So when I Googled write to different audiences, it's amazing how many of these marketing websites came up about marketing to different audiences. And you're, I'm sure, very aware of that when you think about advertisements. So these suggestions are from the sense of marketing, but it also relates completely to any situation that you're talking about. So this marketing blog talks about, thinking about the purpose and the audience of your advertisement. They have a choice to do something that's more informative and less overtly persuasive, such as a press release. Or are you more interested in sharing your latest product features and posting that on the App Store? I'm not sure exactly what that means. Or will you be writing content for blogs and want to teach them a thing or two? Somewhere I thought there were examples. Okay. Brand and Pepper are proud to announce that during the month of February, we signed agreements with 4 new clients to fulfill their marketing needs on a full-time basis. These new additions to our client base enabled us to further push the boundaries of marketing and communication within the Maltese Islands and beyond. So this is clearly an advertisement for Brand and Pepper. So Brand and Pepper is a creative agency, a marketing agency. So they're giving examples from their own marketing agency. And this is an example of something where it's definitely to inform. Here is a more persuasive piece. As a leading marketing agency, Brand and Pepper has signed agreements with 4 prestigious companies who have entrusted their marketing work to us. So let's compare the first sentence. Brand and Pepper are proud to announce that during the month of February, we signed agreements with 4 new clients to fulfill their marketing needs on a full-time basis, versus As a leading marketing agency, Brand & Pepper has signed agreements with 4 prestigious companies who have entrusted their marketing work to us. So what kinds of changes did they do to write to the different audience? Or for the different purpose, excuse me. What words were added?
Was it prestigious companies?
So instead of just 4 new clients, we have 4 prestigious companies. What other words in here makes this more overtly persuasive and less just informative? Well, as a leading marketing agency, that's how they describe themselves. They call them prestigious companies. They use the verb entrusted, and they have an exclamation point at the end. So there's all sorts of things they're doing to make this a much more persuasive sort of document. This one is a less formal one. We are proud to announce we have landed another 4 clients this month. Landed, no, they have come on board. And then a descriptive. So the purple and orange marketing agency, Brand & Pepper, have managed to secure 4 of the most prestigious companies in sunny Malta to handle their marketing accounts. So notice how each of these wordings shift the purpose or shift the tone in order to achieve a slightly different purpose. In the Genre Colored Glasses blog that Amy Devitt writes, one of her pieces is An Academic Learns to Blog. And she says, for over 3 decades now, I've written academic articles. And for over 3 months now, I've written blog posts. Guess which I find easier and which one I struggle with. It's not because writing a blog is harder. It's because I've been writing academic articles for 3 decades. One of the things about genre is that you will become comfortable and familiar in a genre. I mean, because you've all been in college for a while, you're pretty comfortable with, say, research paper genres or academic research paper kind of genre. And you may be much less comfortable in, say, writing a blog. And part of the thing about genres is that you become, you learn the facility of doing it. And the more you do it, the more easy it is for you to do it. And so sometimes when you're writing in a different genre, you have to explicitly think about how it's different. And so in her blog post, she posts some of the differences she's noticing between academic writing and blog writing. Nobody has to read a blog post. So it's out there on the web. And so the issue is, how do you get your reader how do you get somebody to come look at it? Bloggers don't know how much readers know about the blog post topic. So unless you have been writing for a long, long time and you've got this really clear defined audience who has been talking to you, you're kind of speaking out to an unknown audience. Readers who do read a blog usually read quickly while they're browsing. And so that affects the blog. Blogs can be hard for readers to discover. You know, how are people going to find them? Even if a blogger pulls it off once, the blogger has to do it all again for the next post, which is important because it kind of gets back to the how do people know. I mean, just writing one single blog post is not going to get people to read it. You have to be writing in a consistent way, and you build your audience. And so she says basically she had to learn how to write a blog. Now, I thought this was an interesting thing because several of you say that you'd like to do a blog post for your assignment. So these are some of the things to start thinking about that she talked about. And then she alluded to or referred to a blog post by somebody named Michael Pollack about opening your blog post with a bang. And so that this is a link she collected to, but this is probably something you could, if you were to Google, how do you open blog posts? You know, how do you start a blog post, or what's the opening line of a blog post? Chances are this would come up, which kind of gets at this question of how do people locate your blog? So these are his ideas of opening. Be short and direct. So his example is, want to maximize sharing your content to Facebook? Here are 7 tips that are sure to help. The quirky, funny opening sentence or paragraph from Who the Hell Are You? It will please some of you to know that I almost titled this article, What's My Name, Bitch? Ask a thought-provoking question. What do people say about you when you're not around? Ask a multiple choice question. Pop quiz, which of these do you agree with? Intelligence is fixed at birth. Some people are creative. You can become a world-class expert. You can change your personality. Share a shocking fact or statistic. Workers distracted by email and phone calls suffer a fall in IQ more than twice that found in marijuana smokers. New research has claimed. Wow. Share something personal. I was recently diagnosed with testicular cancer. Yes, the dreaded C word. Withhold a compelling piece of information, kind of a tease. How'd you like to learn how to pull your audience into your content by taking advantage of an innate human behavior? What if I said that every TV network, movie, blog, book, and other forms of media use this same tactic? So there's a lot of clickbait that kind of uses this tactic. Debunk conventional wisdom. Do you sound smarter when you use big words? Lead with a success story. Start with a reader's question. Unadvertised bonus opening. Share a quote. Did you enjoy this article? If so, subscribe to my newsletter and I will send you a message whenever I publish something new, which is usually once or twice a week. So that gets at that issue of how, if you're going to do a blog, do you build up your readers? So I thought I wanted to end on this blog thing because several people have thought they might want to write a blog. And I encourage you to read more on those links about the details of the genre and of what you need to think about for it as you're working to revise it. But let's pull back a little and just talk in more general. So what is the implications for you as a student of all this? That is, how will this impact you at work, at school, in your community? And this is a real question. Thoughts?
How
Have you
will
ever
what
felt like,
affect us?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
How will what affect us?
The implications of all writing being rhetorical and having to be changed for the rhetorical situation.
Well, it will be more analytical as we go forward.
Yeah. Does anybody write at work currently, or have written it at work? Part of your jobs required writing for work? Anybody want to be a technical or professional writer after you graduate and write in a work setting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what a lot of people's goals is, right? So when you get into your new position, you won't be able to necessarily write the way you've always written in college. You're going to have to sort of suss out the rhetorical situation and figure out how to adapt these skills that you're learning sort of in the abstract in college. You'll have particular audiences. There may be genres that are required in your work setting. There may be complex audiences. This often happens in a work setting where you're writing for multiple people, but really you're writing for a boss who's concerned about something. Or if you're writing for your community and trying to get people to change or do things. Again, there may be, there are ways in which you're going to have to shift your writing to be in different rhetorical situations. So this morning, as I was putting this together, I came up with this word, ambi-rhetorical. And so based on the word ambidextrous, where you shift left hand, right hand. So what you need to learn to be is ambi-rhetorical, that is being able to write differently for the different situation, rhetorical situation that you put yourself in. And so this gets us back to this assignment, which is that I am pushing you to try a different rhetorical situation. Really think through all the results of saying, I'm going to change this into a different kind of rhetorical situation, a different kind of genre. So for example, if I'm going to do this piece as a blog, what does that mean? Will the tone be different from how I would normally write? Would my title be different from how I might write in school? Would the length be different from how a school paper would be? This is why I didn't put a length requirement on this assignment, because on the original one, I just said 400 words because I wanted you to at least have thought through something enough for 400 words worth. But if you decide to do a genre, and I think she said that a typical, a blog is a thing, a typical blog is about 750 words. So, that gives you a guideline. Colleen Query is decided she's going to do a video introducing this musical group Tool. And so I assume it would be maybe available on YouTube. So one of the things that's interesting is the blog as a genre may be becoming old hat. And instead, what we see much more are video blogs or vlogs or podcasts kind of moving in a slightly different direction. I had a student who wrote a paper on that topic last semester, and how the podcast is kind of seems to be replacing the blog as a way people are sharing ideas out. But I don't think the blog is totally gone. And in fact, as a marketing tool, it's become kind of really important. So part of thinking about this is that you're writing in an unfamiliar genre, and you may have to kind of research what the features are of that genre. And how to do it so it really sounds like a blog or a video or a speech to little kids or a Instagram post or whatever. So what kinds of questions do you have or problems are you having in thinking about revising your opinion pieces to put it, basically locate it into a rhetorical situation?
So how are you, how are you asking us, or how do we incorporate genre into the assignment? I mean, what do we do with genre? What do you want us to do with genre?
I want you to pick a genre.
Okay.
So Anna said she wants to do a blog. And who else said they wanted
Okay,
to?
so pick a genre and adapt our writing to that genre.
Right. So
okay.
Anna says she wants to do a blog, and somebody else said they wanted to do a blog, but I've forgotten who at the moment. Micah, did you say?
Yeah, I want to do a blog.
Okay. So I don't want a piece of paper that looks like an academic paper where you say this is a blog. Ultimately, what I want is something that is a blog. I mean, you can do a blog in Google Sites, for example, without. One of the things a blog, so the little instructions from Amy Devitt and the other guys pointed out that blogs have different features. So one of the things you see in blogs are a lot of videos. Actually, not videos, but images. So one of the things she was doing in this piece is she was trying to figure out which were her better ones. And she defined the successful posts as the ones that got comments on the blog and on social media. So she said they were about apologies. So just looking at it, you notice that there's a whole bunch of examples in her blog. There's video and image, and an example of I guess it's a Facebook post. And this is an aside. So this post itself is located in a point of time. One of the reasons why maybe the thing about apologies was so popular was that it was appropriate for the timing of the blog. So apparently it's right after. So this was written originally August 19th, 2016. And on that day, Donald Trump posted an apology expressing his regret. And that was the exigence that led her to thinking about this. And so she was interested in it. Other people were interested in it. So it was a really good topic for the time. So when I say, adapt to the rhetorical situation, I mean really totally adapt to the rhetorical situation. Figure out what the genre is, who your audience is, how you need to do it to reach this audience, all these various things. And well, does that give you a better sense of what I'm talking about? I noticed that, so Micah's doing her thing about CGI, and Anna's doing her thing about strong women video games. These are both very much tied to the particular time. So the CGI issue is important because of, what's the guy's name in the Black Panther guy? I keep forgetting his name.
Oh, what was it?
Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
Chadwick Boseman, right. So I'm not a superhero watcher. So it's appropriate now because, he just died. Well, a couple months ago, he died. And we would be expecting to see a new Marvel show with him in it. And so, the question is, how are they going to deal with that? Are they going to have him die off or blah, blah, blah? Similarly, Anna said something about how, well, actually, Anna, you did an interesting thing. You said because of the pandemic, people are playing games more. And so that means it's a good time for more strong women characters in games. Is that your argument?
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, you're trying to tie it to it. So the reality is that people are playing more games. And so why does that mean now is a good time for stronger women? Well, because girls are playing, and, they need models. They need, to be motivated, blah, blah, blah. We need to make the game playing not just a wasted game playing, but have some value as well. So one of the things that students have said to me about, oh, I haven't been looking at the chat. Oh, you like my pictures? One of the things about that students have said to me about, trying to write, being asked to write so intentionally about rhetorical situation is that they're not used to thinking so explicitly. They're more used to just writing and going for it. And I get that. And especially on sort of more personal, expressive, exploratory kinds of things, that's definitely going to be the case. But when it comes to writing out in, workplace settings and for the community, for particular audiences, you're going to have to be more explicit. You're going to have to work towards a more intentional way of making sure your rhetoric fits the situation. And so that's why we're requiring you to think about this. And then in addition, as lots of people have pointed out when they do the quizzes, thinking about rhetoric helps you understand more what's happening in terms to when you process rhetoric or you receive rhetoric or you hear rhetoric, so that all the things that are going on around you are rhetorical, and you're getting some terms and concepts that may help you understand what you see and how you perceive it and whether things are effective. Okay. So we're out of time. I know you just love to be talking about rhetoric for the next 6 hours. Before I close, any questions?
No.
So I will be going into the blogs and grading them. And as soon as they're more or less finished, I'll grade them. That doesn't mean that they're done. They're just, I really mean that this is a playground of an evolving kind of thing. You're fortunate to be students. You get to practice things out in jobs and the community. You don't always get to practice. And so that's how I see it. The grade, so the blog, I want you to keep working in the same blog, but Blackboard doesn't allow me to give multiple different grades for the same blog. So the first time in January when you posted, I graded it in the blog and you can see the grade there. But then each subsequent time, I just make another column in Blackboard. Well, it's a column from my perspective. It'll be a line in your perspective. And you can see it there. So if anybody has any trouble finding that stuff, let me know and I'll point everybody out. Also, please take a look at everybody else's because I think that will definitely give you ideas. If in order to find everybody else's, when you're in your blog, your name is on the right column and there is a little pull down character thing underneath your name. You click on that and it will allow you to see everybody else's blog. And you click on it and you can see it and you can make comments to their blogs. Now, and when you see everybody else's blog, there'll be a little icons to let you know if there's something new on it. Okay. All right. See you next week. Have a great weekend. Have a good Valentine's Day. Bye.